to the Slaying Self Doubt YouTube channel. Here is where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to walk into their God given purpose. How do we do that, you ask? Well, we create safe and brave spaces just like this for Black women to show up authentically as themselves. So join me and sometimes some of my friends or our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I am Coach Philicia, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey Slayers, welcome back to another episode of Slaying Self Doubt Podcast. It's your girl, Coach Felicia. So it's been a minute since you all have seen me, heard me. And so I just want to thank you, first of all, for your patience. I want to thank you for listening to the podcast. Even though I wasn't putting out live episodes, I can tell because I can see that my numbers are going up a little bit at a time. But I really want to just again, I appreciate you all for continuing to show up. For those of you all who are new here, welcome. I don't care how you found me, whether it was by way of Google, Instagram, YouTube. You listened to an episode, somebody shared it with you. I just appreciate you for sure. Just continuing to show up. I have lots of episodes. This is episode 285. So if this is your first time, you can go back. Girl, I got some stuff in here for you. Okay. If while you're listening to this episode, I do ask that you share with at least 10 people because I still have a goal of hitting 100,000 downloads for 2024. And I think it's possible. Now, some of that has to do with me, and we'll talk about that a little later. But I really do think it's still possible. And so I'm just asking you to share. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube page. That is growing slowly. And there's work that needs to be done. Okay. So that is literally why we are here. So there are no major announcements. The major announcement is that I'm back, right? And I have learned I just noticed. Okay, so my sister cousin was sitting here the other day, sitting at my desk, and she wrote me a note that says, "You're doing great. Keep going." I didn't notice that at first, so I just saw it. Oh, so if you're watching, thank you so much, Beaches. Um, oh, that's so sweet. So while we're here, right? So the big announcement is that I'm here and it took me a minute to get to this place. And I'm going to tell you why. Um, some of the time, if you guys have been following me or been a part of this journey, we'll talk about this. This is probably going to be a little bit of a series. And so yeah, I don't know how long it's gonna be. I feel like it might be 4, but it might be less than that. So I am looking for something that I posted on Threads not too long ago. Okay. So I have been struggling for the last I don't know, since the end of last year with what was the next steps, right? So in my life, I knew that I had major transitions happening. My younger son was going to high school, and being a full time entrepreneur in, I would say, service based industries is very much so difficult. We keeping it 100, all right. And so those of you all who are new here, yeah, there are times where stuff is very structured, and then there's often times where you just gonna get it how you get it, and that today's one of those days. Okay, so yeah, last year was one of those years where I knew that like I gotta like two things can be true at the same time, right? You can be grateful for the place that you're in, and then also know that there are things that have to happen in order for the plans that you have for yourself or your family. You gotta have finances, right? And so I started this journey off the strength of God really calling me to do something, right? And so every step of the way, I've kind of been most of the steps of the way, I've kind of been like, okay, Lord, what's next? I took a very big leap 5 years ago. And what I thought was going to happen, it just didn't pan out the way exactly what I thought, right? However, at this very moment, I know that what I was thinking about and what he was thinking about is clearly two totally different things. And if I am now that I am piecing it all together, I'm absolutely right on track, right? But my problem is that I inserted myself, my needs, my desires into his plan. And yeah, that really it really just hemmed me up. So anyway, so last year in the whole transitioning piece of knowing that my son was going to go to school, my husband and I have always made a decision years ago that high school was definitely going to be private school. Okay, so yeah, that's cool, but they don't private school ain't free, right? You know that you have to pay. And so although, when we made that decision, the kids were way younger, it was way before I God had told me to leave my job. When I got to this space, it was one of those moments where I was just kind of like, okay, Lord, well, you sent me here. What is it that you want me to do? Well, he made a way exactly how he said he did. You can go back and listen to, I think, the beginning of last year. I probably should have looked this up, but I told y'all this is one of them episodes. But I think the beginning of last year, I let you all in on a story of how God told me to basically ask for my current job. And it wasn't anything that I planned. It's not what I wanted. Whenever people ask me, I'd be like, I would never have thought I'd be working in ministry. Not, never one thought in my mind, right? However, again, like I said earlier, my plan was my plan, his plan was his. Okay. And so he continues to use me in different ways. Now, once I transitioned into working, right, and full time, I mean, part time work, and then kind of I was like, slaying self doubt was still like here, but it was kind of like, okay, well, I know eventually I'm gonna have to do this. And then once I became full time, it was like I shifted, right? My focus went straight to I got to do all of these things in this workplace to one, prove that I deserve the job, even though the Lord told me to ask for the job, so I knew I was getting it. That I'm worthy to be able to be in that space, even though I know I had the qualifications, the skills, or like I wouldn't be in that space if I didn't qualify for the position. And so for me, I was dealing not realizing it at the moment. I think I was so focused on the transitional part about like going from full time entrepreneurship to working that I didn't 100% realize that like imposter syndrome, my own self doubt, questioning my worthiness was all coming up for me, right? And so a lot of times when I'm like deep in self doubt, I tend to avoid. I know that that is my natural inclination is just to avoid it. So what I did was like out of guilt or just like obligation, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna record an episode, or I'm gonna post this, or I'm gonna do that. But I noticed I was doing it less and less and less, right? And so I probably my last episode that I actually recorded was in May. And I don't know. I couldn't tell you like I can't remember now what I talked about, but I do feel like at that time I was doing it out of obligation, not because I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? And for me, like since I started this and kind of have been doing it on a consistent basis, and like I enjoy doing the podcast, right? And so I kept struggling with, oh, what this is going to look like now that I'm working. How do people first of all, I was thinking to myself, how in the world did I do all of this before? Like, how was I working a full time job that required way more attention than this? And I was going into work. My kids was in activities, and like I couldn't believe I was doing half the stuff I did. And now that I have had the break and I have created boundaries, some of the things that I just didn't want to go back to the same thing. And so I think I felt like, let me do this one thing and I worry about this later, right? But there was always this nagging in the back of my head. It was just kind of like, if you put it down, you can't pick it back up. If you put it down, you can't pick it back up. And I made a post not too long ago over the summer where I was just like, you got to trust God with whatever you put down. Like if it's for you, it's for you. He can't take that from you, and you can't take that from yourself because He's giving it to you, right? And so I am 100% convinced that I mean I know for a fact that this is a God thing. Everything about slaying self doubt is God ordained, point blank in the period, right? And so I really had to decide like I talked to one of my coaching friends. We had a coaching session because when I tell you, I was like between therapy, coaching, friends, family, like I was struggling with what was next, right? And she would just be like, I said, what do you choose? What do you choose to do? You know what I'm saying? And I'd be like, well, I do want to, kind of, but I don't really know. And it was just a lot of, I don't know, all over the placeness, right? And so a couple of weeks ago, I posted this on Threads that I realized I was basically, I'm going to paraphrase most of it. But I think one of the things that I realized is I was struggling with figure out how to manage a full time job and pour into this business, this God given business, without like, I don't know, destroying it in some way, like, or failing. And that's pretty much what it was. And so I say, it hit me that my self-doubt, imposter syndrome had me hiding in the shadows because I felt like everything was built on a lie. I felt like that here I am telling you, oh, you need to slay your fears. And I'm over here like, girl, don't look at me. I don't want nobody to see. And so my brand has always been about empowering Black women to trust God and in the doubt and the fear, to have faith in the midst of chaos. And I've said this many times, that self-doubt happens because we don't trust ourselves. We make promises and then we stop. And then when the next thing comes up, we're inconsistent with ourselves, right? And so I had to be honest with myself in the fact that I do not trust myself to successfully thrive in my full-time business, in my full-time position, and thrive in my business. I'm scared that all the effort I put into slaying self-doubt since 2019 was for nothing. I feel like I don't know what direction I should go in, and I don't want to let people down. People being me, my family, people who follow me, friends, those type of things. But I shared this out loud because the enemy was holding me hostage. He knew that that was my secret, right? And because he could keep reminding me like, you can't do that. You ain't, how you gonna do that and work? Oh, well, once they see you out here trying to do this, you think they're gonna keep like, you think they're gonna keep you? Oh, you over here doing this? It's like, it just in my ear, right? And so I said, this is my ministry, right? And it's Science It Out is personal to me because it is me. Like, I literally live out slaying self-doubt on a regular basis when you see me doing stuff. So and then I had to go back to my scripture. Judges 6:14 says, go with the strength you have, I'm sending you. And that was my encouragement for that day, is to go with the strength you have and let God do the rest. And so what that made me think about was like, one, the fact that I was truthful publicly, because I've always been transparent about a lot of things within the slaying self-doubt. But I had to tell the whole truth. And the whole truth was that I was afraid to fail, that I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to keep it up, and that I wasted you all's time, my time, and the Lord's time on this dream, or on this, yeah, on this dream and on this thing that, it, real talk, I felt like he could have gave it to somebody else who had more time, right? And so that was how I was feeling. And I still feel like that. I'm not even gonna lie. There's some things that even as I'm recording this, I'm still just kind of like, I hope this is enough, right? So this is kind of my like, what are we gonna do type situation. But one of the things that I realized as I was, kind of having this conversation with myself and just going back and forth with the thinking and everything, was just like, but you need to focus on what got you here. And one of the things that I realized is that I was doing, which I have been all the time, way too much, right? And a lot of that was because when I was in full-time entrepreneurship, I was trying to prove to myself and prove to my husband that this risk, this big leap of faith that we took, was worth it. I needed to bring some money in here. I needed to show you that I can sell some things. I needed to get coaching clients and do all these different things so you can see that, see, it was worth it me leaving, right? And so when it wasn't like panning out like the way I thought it was, because I just thought the Lord was going to drop all the blessings on me, rain down on me in dollars. Okay, Lord, that's what I thought what was gonna happen. And it didn't happen. And I'm over here like, what else am I supposed to be doing? Oh, maybe I should sell merch. Oh, maybe I should do this. Oh, maybe I should do that. And I'm thinking of all these things. And not to say that those things are not to come, or they are not things that I need to do. However, I'm probably was out of order, right? Because again, I'm trying to prove my worthiness. And so then when I get into this job, what happens is that oftentimes we want something so bad, and we are yearning for it, all these different things, and then something else comes up that just kind of distracts us from it. And so then we feel like this thing right here I do still want. However, the amount of work and time it's going to take me to put into this, I don't really know whether or not I want to do that anymore, or if I want it in the same way, or how can I do less and still get more out of it, right? And I was like trying to think like, okay, how do I still engage in my community? I don't know. I told y'all about that whole Facebook thing. I felt like that was a sign from the Lord. That's what I thought. Like the Lord is saying, get off of Facebook, right, child? You don't need it. And I'm still sitting over here like the number of times that I've had people reach out to me, or people say stuff just like, oh, when's the podcast coming back? When are you? So it's one of these things where it's like you build something, right? Like I went through the effort of getting Slang Self Doubt trademarked, y'all. That was there's an episode I did that I said that was my green light, that I knew that this was an official thing. I keep asking God to show me over and over and over and over again, like this, are you sure this is what you want me to do? Show you this is what you want me to do? I show you this what you want me to do? Instead, and I'm not trusting that the answer is yes, right? And so I'm in this place again where I'm just kind of like, okay, something's got to give. So we now need to pivot in a good way, in a intentional way, so that I can keep up this thing. I do not want to let slang self doubt go. Again, it is a part of me. I am excited when I'm able to put my headphones on and listen. I had a conversation with somebody not too long ago. She's talking about doing a podcast, and when I tell you all the things I was just sharing with her, just on a conversation, because anybody who knows me knows I'll just share whatever it is, and I'm just talking to her, and as I'm talking to her, she is literally just like she don't even realize. Just I avoided the conversation, and I told her this. I was like, I didn't even want to talk to you about it, because in the back of my mind, I knew that it was going to stir something up in me, and I don't think I was ready. I don't think that I wanted to do it, so I tried to avoid it, but that would be rude, right? And so once I finished talking to her, I was like, all right, Bunny, you gonna have to, let's go. Like, we gonna have to make a pivot, and it's gonna have to be, we're gonna have to do this. So we're gonna talk about pivoting over the next couple of weeks. So a pivot is to turn or twist, completely change the way in which one does something. This is not just about business. This is pivoting in life, period. Okay. Because there's a lot of pivots I got to make. Some of them are health pivots. Okay. Some of them are relationship pivots. Some of them are business pivots, parenting pivoting. Okay. Because, baby, having teenagers, high schoolers, it is kids that you are raising to be adults, and they'll be adults in like less than 4 years. You have to pivot the way you parent. It's just, it ain't the same. Okay. So I just want to talk about the benefits and the challenges. All right. So the benefits for me, specifically in this space of pivoting within slaying self-doubt, is well, I guess these all apply. Now I think about it. It applies to any type of pivot, but you stay relevant, right? Because sometimes, again, we'll use the transition of my kids. I can't parent you the same way I did. I did when you were 7 and 5. You're 17 and 15. I have to change. I can't baby you, right? So to stay relevant with what's happening and on time, yes, certain things have to change. In my health, I got to stay relevant with what's happening. I am not 20 something, 30 years. Girl, you is about to be 44. Okay. And this is not your mother mid 40s. I don't know what is happening, but somebody send help. Okay. This is different. I can't, like, my brain and my body and my bones are like, what are we doing on a daily basis? Right. So I have to remain relevant to what is happening in this moment. I cannot continue to live, I can't live in the past, and I can't be so focused on the future. Like, I have to, what is happening at this moment. And so sometimes in pivoting, in order to stay current, you got to make some changes. You got to do things differently. The next thing is for me focusing on my strengths. I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. Specifically in slaying self doubt, I never meant for it to be a product based business, right? Like, service based businesses are hard because you have to rely on another person to trust you enough to use your services, right? You got shirts T-shirts. I said that already. Journals, whatever. You have the products. Hey, I can sell you this Vaseline. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it works on your lips. Look at my lips, lipstick, whatever the case may be. Like it's easy because people can see it. But when you're talking about an internal transformation, I, I, you're relying on other people to want to be transformed, right? And so for me, I had to readjust and I had to pivot to figure out, okay, what is my strength? That's why I said focus on what got you here. What got me here with the podcast? The strength that I have is my voice. Using the power of my voice, being able to talk to you through this microphone so you can hear and see me, that is my strength. All that other stuff is noise. That's just not gonna happen. Allowing God to lead. The benefit of me pivoting is being able to go back to the one who gave this to me and say, tell me which direction you want me to go in and be serious about it and not be over here like, yeah, well, the Lord sent me here. Did he or did you send yourself? And you waiting for him to show up? Because I've done that. And so if you didn't send yourself somewhere and waiting for him and you wondering why he missing, because he ain't sent you over there. Why are you over there? 4 and 5. Come on over here. So sometimes pivoting is putting down your stuff, releasing control, letting those things that you thought was going to happen go, and fully allowing God to lead you and allowing him to handle the thing that you are pivoting in. Your health, your finances, your parenting, all of those things is allowing God to tell you, mother, no. Real quick, I had my son, he got on. My family, me personally, I don't let my kids get on social media until they were 16. And so my oldest has it, my youngest doesn't. And we started with one app. Of course, everybody, that ask me if I care. I do not, okay? Because you know why? These kids is addicted. These parents are addicted. Listen, Logan had me in the chokehold for about 3 days with them cucumbers. Okay, and I tried at least three three recipes, so I know it's possible. But I happened to notice that his time he added TikTok. He asked for TikTok over the summer, gave it to him, and he added it. And that time has and easily I could have, which I did, and then I thought I took it off, but I didn't. I could have went behind there, put a 2 hour limit on that joint, and let that be the end of it. But instead, I said, no, you about to be 17 years old. You need to learn self control. I'm going to tell you what I noticed. I want you to start paying attention to how often you stay on something. If you give yourself a 2 hour limit and you hit 2 hours at 10 a.m., who got the problem? It's happened to me plenty of times. If you hit 2 hours at 7, okay. Like, but when you spend so much time on stuff, you got to think about that. Before, I would have said, no, take the app off. You're not doing it. But now I have to pivot the way I parent. Boo, you about to work. I want you to see how much time you about to be in school. You're gonna have a job. You're gonna be driving. All these different things. Tell me how you're gonna be looking at social media and not get that distraction and not get your work done if you spend all this time here. He listen. Choice is yours, but you're gonna. I don't. Your invoice. Your choice, your invoice. That's what my pastor say. Your choice, your invoice. So either way, you're gonna pay for it. It's not me. All I can do is give you advice, right? I am trying to advise you. I don't want to tell you what to do anymore. There are going to be certain things I'm going to say, no, you ain't doing that. But I have to pivot into advising. The choice is yours. So those are the benefits. Staying relevant, focusing on my strengths, the only thing that I can do, and allowing God to lead. That's literally all that we can do in these moments, and that's what I'm going to do as I am pivoting and just owning my truth of the fear of failure and the fear of the fear that comes along with imposter syndrome, and the self doubt. So some of the challenges to pivoting because pivoting can be good in whatever it is that you need to do. So it's not a negative thing, but I mean, it's a positive thing, but there can be also some things that are nerve wracking, I would say, about pivoting. So the first thing for me is the adjustment to the change, right? When you've been operating in a certain space in a certain way for an extended period of time, to have to change that direction, whichever way you do, it's annoying, right? And so having to adjust to the change can cause you to be irritable. It can cause you to avoid, again, like that's some of the things that like when you know you have to adjust, it's almost it's like you either avoid it or you sabotage yourself, right? Like you'll set, again, when we talk about pivoting in lifestyle and and different things, like set this goal for myself that all right, you are going to cut back on drinking alcohol, whatever it is, right? Like, again, having to pivot in my lifestyle, changing the way I eat, how I show up for myself. I'm conscious enough to know that there's certain things that I'm just not going to do, right? Like I'm just not going to do it at this point. Like I'm not willing to say I'm never eat, like I always be like I could never say that I'm a vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian. One, I'm allergic to a lot of different things, and I don't like a lot of stuff either, right? And so I don't eat enough different types of vegetables to be a vegetarian. Like I love bacon way too much to give up pork, and give me a good prime rib or a rib. Oh, baby, yummy. And I only eat like two types of fish, so it's like so many different things that I'm like I wouldn't eat that. I can't eat that. I'm allergic to that. So for me, it's like recognizing the truth about the situation that I'm in, but the adjustment also can be nerve wracking, right? And so some of it is the discipline. And we talked earlier when I said about, not trusting yourself. Like a lot of times when we have to pivot, it's because when we have the difficulty in pivoting, is because previously we told ourselves we were going to do something and we didn't do it. And you don't realize it that subconsciously in your body on a regular basis, there are things that you continue to remind yourself of, like, I ain't even get to do. I said I was going to walk 10,000 steps every day, and I only got to 5. And so, because you're not being intentional about it, to change something else, it, there's something on the inside of you that just doesn't trust that you're going to do it. And so, the adjustment to the change causes you sometimes to not pivot. You remain kind of stagnant. Um, Sometimes the challenge is comparison, right? Comparison in the way that you mind another people's business, and you are looking at the fact that, oh, this person didn't have to pivot and they're still able to do blah blah blah, or this person did pivot and it worked out for them, or whatever the case may be. We be too focused on what everybody else is doing that it is causing you to not make the best decision for you. Remember, I said you focus on what got you where you are, right? Like even in the focus on your strengths, allow God to lead. Like if you remained present in your situation and with thinking about the goals and what it is that you're trying to do, you will make the right decision for you. What works for Sally and what works for Jessica don't work for Bunny, right? Like it doesn't work for me. And so I can't look at how this person is parenting, how this person is doing their finances, how this person is exercising, how this person is podcasting, how this person is married, how this person is running their business, doing their job, whatever the case may be. I can't look at them and use that as uh my thermometer, right? Or my scale of like success versus failure. Like that's not going to work. You have to be able to look at yourself and say what worked, right? And so when I think about it for me in the business aspect, is like when I focused on podcasting and really putting my energy on that, that's when I was the most successful. That is when I was seeing the numbers and doing, when I started paying attention and doing other stuff, that's when I noticed things was, oh, like it was like, nope, this ain't gonna work, sis. And so for me, it's one of those things where it's like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you, if something is working for you or has been working, why would you pay attention? Again, this is me talking to me, not you. You're just listening in on a conversation I'm having with myself. But why would I intentionally put myself in a situation where I am doing worse off because I see somebody else doing something else? And I found myself doing that plenty of times, which is the reason why I had to pivot and go back to the thing that served me and focus on what got me here, right? The other challenge in pivoting is procrastination. So this is why we're here at this time and not like 2 months before, right? Because oftentimes when you are doing things, you procrastinate on and how soon you're going to do the things because of whatever you're feeling, whatever your discomfort is, whatever it is that you are struggling to do. If you are not willing to tell the truth, I said earlier that part of me feeling uncomfortable about this pivot was the fact that I never said the truth, that I didn't think it was going to work. I didn't think I was going to be able to do both. I didn't think that I could manage my time in a way to get it done, get the things out, and not flop, like, because I wanted to be successful. I told you my goal is still to hit 100,000 downloads. I literally cannot do that if I don't record any episodes. I cannot do that if I don't engage with my community. I cannot do that if I don't email you or post something that says that this is happening. You can't want something and then do no work. We speak of that as faith without works is dead. You can believe all day long, but if you don't do no work, nothing is happening. So there is it's a difference for me to say, like, I want this to be successful, but I'm not doing anything. So what are you doing, or what are you not doing? Like, that was the part for me that I had to really say, okay, you have to stop procrastinating. But I had to get to the root of it. So that's why this is, you can't this the topic of this episode is, you can't handle the truth. Is because you have to tell the truth. If you can't handle the truth about why you are where you are, do you even deserve the thing that you are hoping for? Like, that was where I was at. Like, if I can't handle the truth about why I am being why I'm comparing, why I'm procrastinating, why I don't want to pivot, why this is not working out, why I feel the way, like, if I don't want to, if I can't handle the truth of what it is, do I even still want it? So when I said, my one of my friends coached me through a space of, like, what do you do? And she kept saying, like, this your business. You can choose, you can decide what you want to do. What choice are you making today? Like, that, what do you choose? Right. And I literally was kind of like, I don't know what I choose, because I'm afraid to make the wrong choice. That's the truth. You're afraid to make the wrong choice, so you make no choice. No decision is a decision. You're doing nothing, right? And so there's no forward movement when you do nothing. And so I had to make the choice to say, if this is what I want, I at least have to give it some effort, and I at least have to try. And so this is me showing up. This is me trying. This is me slaying my self doubt. This is me saying, can I do both? I don't know. But the only way I'm going to know is if I do it. So this is me doing the thing. And so I want to ask you, the question of today's episode is, do you need to make a pivot in your life? Is there somewhere in your life where you feel like things are not going the way that they should be going? And I probably should be doing things completely differently. And I'm not. And so because of that, I am struggling, right? Or I'm not getting the results that I want because I haven't made a change. And so I want you to think about the things that you want different. And first, I want you to tell the truth. Tell the truth about why you in this situation. If your finances is a mess, tell the truth about how you got here. You're an impulsive shopper. You don't spend. You don't save, or maybe you don't make enough. Like, it's so many different reasons. But what's the truth about your situation? If you want to live a healthier lifestyle, what is the truth about your situation? Do you need to? Do you overeat? Do you eat too many sweets? Do you drink too much alcohol? Do you not exercise? Do you don't drink any water? Right? If it's about, your job, like, what's the truth about the fact of why you won't get another job, right? Or you're wanting to get promoted? Have you done all the things? Do you qualify for the position? Have you shown up the way you needed to show up in your current job that would make somebody want to promote you? Right? Like, there are some things that we have to take that mirror and look at ourselves and be able to say, like, what is holding me back? And it's us. It really is us, but you have to be truthful with yourself. So I want to know whether or not, if you need to make a pivot in your life, what is that pivot that you need to make? And how can I pray for you? How can I pray that you really do the thing that you want to do? That is where I want to be in this space. And so, as we talk about, as I'm closing out about talking about pivoting, we'll talk about this over the next couple of weeks. One of the things that I really want to focus on, right? When I say pivoting, I had one of the things that I had to do was change my focus and how I wanted to show up for slaying self doubt in this season. And that is really build community, however that looks. And so, a part of building community is being connected to the community. So I'm going to find a different way to get connected. I know I had a Facebook group, but I was terrible at it. So I may find another way for you all to for us to join the community in some type of way. But yeah, my right now my focus is community, and the way that I am going to communicate with you is via the podcast. And so I'm just going to keep that promise to myself, is that I'm going to continue to record episodes and continue to publish them, continue to put them out, and be consistent for myself, right? Because that is how I want to show up in this season. So as always, y'all, thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Again, if you enjoy this podcast and you find it valuable, like I said, even though this is well, it's a part of what I'm doing, there are some financial stuff that goes along with it. And so I ask that you consider making a donation by buying me a coffee. Your support of a small donation of $5 to $10 can help me create new content, grow our audience, and purchase new equipment. Excuse me, for live recordings. As always, Jesus and therapy. And so we have partnered with BetterHelp. Take charge of your mental health and get 10% off your first month of therapy at betterhelp.com/slaying. Make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter. I'm working on that too, because I know even once I wasn't on here, I wasn't even right. Y'all neither, right? And so I'm going to revamp that as well. Be sure to share this episode with at least 10 people, because we're still trying to hit 100,000 downloads in 2024. Follow me on Instagram at Slang Self Doubt. Until next week, keep slaying, sis. See ya. As always, y'all, thank you for rocking with me. Again, if you enjoyed this podcast and you find it valuable, you enjoy this channel and you find it valuable, please consider donating by buying me a coffee. Your support will help me to create new content, get an official podcast studio, and ultimately reach more people. That's what we need. We need more people on this movement. Okay. If you're not already signed up to the newsletter, go to my website, www.slayingselfdoubt.com, and sign up for the Slayer Nation newsletter. That's where you'll get updates, where you'll get what's going on. You'll get the news first. You don't have to wait until I announce it or hear. Okay. And lastly, well, second to last, please make sure that you share this with at least 10 people. We are trying to reach 100,000 downloads this year, and every subscription, every share counts. So we need it. We need you to send it out to your peoples so they can help us hit our goal this year. Lastly, if you are not already following me on Instagram, you need to go on over there and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Until the next episode, see ya.